All right, we should have some more people jumping on, but I'm going to go ahead and get started since it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to literally walk through everything you need to do from the time your client says, I'm ready to make an offer on this house. So I'm logged into Zipforms right now. However, to start off, you should obviously have your client's information, right, ready to put into Zipforms. You should also go into Bright. So I just chose a random listing this morning just to be able to, oops, somebody's not muted. All right, good deal. Okay, we're muted now. Sorry about that. Okay, so I chose a random listing. What you want to do in here is go in and download the property disclosure, any documents that you're going to need to input into the transaction, right? So you click on that little document icon, click on the property disclosure. It's before 78. You'll have a lead-based paint disclosure in here as well. Sometimes there are some other forms that you'll need to download, but for the sake of this, we're just going to do that property disclosure training. That way I know what this is for. Go ahead and save that. We have that. We're ready to go. Then we're going to come back over here into Zipforms, right? So once you're into Zipforms, this is probably what you're going to see when you first come in. Click on transactions here. You're ready to start a new transaction. So click on new purchase offer, new purchase or offer. What I typically do is, since we're in a time of where you may be writing more than one offer for a client, I typically will name it the client's name until we have an accepted offer. You can choose to do whatever you would like to do with this. I'm gonna use myself here. All right. There we go. Okay, so next part, you have this MLS Connect. You can do this further into the transaction as well, but I usually do it right here. So what this does when you click on MLS Connect is you can pull in the property information that you're writing an offer for. So hit MLS Connect. You're going to need that MLS number. So you might need to toggle back and forth. I have two screens, which is very, very helpful for writing offers. You could also potentially print out the MLS sheet if you wanted to, include a photo if you'd like. Remember to hit find here, and then it's going to pull in all of the property information from the MLS. So this just means less typing for you, basically. Go ahead and hit use listing. As you see, it pulls it in here. You want to make sure to hit residential here under that category. And you may have your own template set up for buying. If you don't, I suggest doing that. If you don't have your own template set up, Trisha does have some office templates that you can come in and select here. What that does is it pulls all the documents that you're going to need for the transaction into your folder, essentially. So once you have that set, you're going to go ahead and hit save. It's going to spin. Sometimes it looks like nothing's happening, but give it a few seconds, be a little patient, and then it'll populate that transaction. There we go. All right, so it takes you to this summary area. So there are a few different ways that you can do this, and it'll all work out the same, right? There's not always one way to do things and only one way to do things. So I'm going to show you my way. There are some people that come in and they add the information into this. What I find is easiest for me is just kind of doing it within the documents. But I go along this top part up here. So we're in summary right now. I don't really do anything in here. Come over to parties. And this will pull the information again from that listing in. So you're going to have the listing agent's information. And if that listing agent put the seller in the MLS, they're going to be there as well. You as the buyer's agent will be here. So what you need to do is add your buyers. So if you just come over to the left here, select buyer one. At the very least, since this is a digital signing platform, if you're sending it for electronic signatures, at the very least, you're going to need their name and their email address. You should obviously have more information than that. You should have their address as well and their phone number. But we're just going to go ahead with this. I'm going to use my own emails just because it'll make life easier. We'll go ahead with that one. So at the very least, that's the information you need. Some people get confused by this block down here. I actually had a call last week. So if you have somebody that's purchasing through their LLC or an estate, or there's an estate and they are the ones that are signing for it, that's the only time that you're going to use this signing representative area down here. Because if you're writing an LLC up here, somebody can't sign the LLC name, right? Like Perfect Homes LLC, they can't sign that. They actually have to sign their legal name. So that's, you would put the LLC up here, and then you would put the signing representative down here. But for most transactions, you don't have to worry about this section down here. So this is your buyer one. You're going to go ahead and hit save. I'll do a buyer two as well. A different email. So, however, I am using a different email, but sometimes you run into couples that for certain purposes use the same email address. You can actually use the same email address for two different people. It would just go as the one person, they should sign, and then the next person should be able to go in. They would get a new link to sign for them as well. So go ahead and hit save again. And so then you see everybody from the transaction is here, right? Buyer one, buyer two, seller one. And if there's another seller, you would have that as well. Listing agent, and then you as the buyer's agent over here. So cool. Now that you have all of the people that are going to be in the transaction, now you can go over to the next box. So you're going to go over to documents here. So this is where all of your documents are housed. And everything that you're going to need for the transaction. So one thing to do here, remember we had to download that property disclosure. So what you're going to do is click add doc here, browse for document, wherever you save that on your computer. I put it in my downloads, so it's going to be right there. You're going to click open. Gotta mute someone. There we go. All right, so you can name it whatever you want. Go ahead and click OK here. Then it will upload that document in a PDF or as a PDF. So as you can see, it populated right here. So now it's time to go in and fill out all of these documents, right? So this is the part that has essentially changed here within Zipforms. You have a couple of different options that you can use to edit the document. So we're going to use the new workspace. So first and foremost, we're just going to click on a doc. You're going to get this pop up here that says new form editor or open form editor classic. The new form editor has some more features, is easier to use in my opinion once you get used to it and comfortable with it. And if you want some basic tips on it, you can click on either one of these links down here. I did a training on that a couple of weeks ago. So we're just going to go ahead and hit open in new form editor. All right, so and this is called your workspace. So I would hope that if you're writing an offer for a client, you did already have them sign this consumer notice and buyer agency contract. If for some reason you did not do that and you need to do it here, we'll just go through doing all of these. So right now in this space, what you see here is this consumer notice, right? So you want to edit and send more than just the consumer notice. So all the documents that you have down in that were on that previous page are going to be down here where it says grab from transaction, right? So if you want to add this buyer agency, you're going to click the plus sign and then it populates up here. And then it also is going to get added here into your workspace. So this left side is your workspace. Just think of it that way. So we're obviously going to need the standard agreement of sale. We're going to do a buyer cost sheet. It's not FHA, so we're not going to use that. We're going to use the co-op broker form, the affiliate business, because that's a Coldwell Banker required form. We're going to use the wire fraud as well. And then we're going to obviously want to put in that property disclosure. So you can also drag and drop and edit the order of these. So if you are actually looking at the agreement of sale, your buyers have to initial at the end that they've reviewed the property disclosure and they got a cost estimate. So you probably would want to have your cost sheet before the buyer, before the agreement of sale. And same thing with that property disclosure, right? So just in the order of things that, they're saying that they've seen and signed. So we go ahead and move those. And again, you have all these other forms over here. So now, once they're in the order you want, you literally are just going to go through and make sure everything is where it belongs, right? So because these are, our forms, the PAR forms, and we put the people that we're using in, this is where we're checking to make sure that everything is where it belongs. Not to be confused with the signing part. So right now, where you're at in this workspace, you are just editing the actual forms. So the next step after this will be the signing portion. So if you get here and you're like, why aren't the signatures here? Where are the signatures? You're not there yet. So this is just editing the forms. So as you see, it pulled in the buyers, pulled in my name as the buyer's agent. We're going to go down here. So because I have templates set up, this information is automatically populated into my form. If you don't have templates and you want help setting them up, I can definitely help you do that as well. So you're just going to kind of roll through here. Again, you should have these forms signed before you get to the point of writing an offer and discussing their financial info. If you didn't, for some reason, you would go in here and do that. So just make sure contract starts when it's signed, and then you're putting a date in here as well. So I typically do a year out, right? 2024. Your compensation is down here. Again, if you didn't have a template set up, you would be adding this information in, scrolling down through, nothing on that page, nothing on that page. Any special terms could be there, making sure these things are in here correctly. Good to go there. All right, now we're at the property disclosure. Since this is not part of the signing platform, there's nothing for you to do here in this form. And if you don't want to scroll, you can actually, so click on the next form, right? And then it takes you to that next form. So we'll go ahead. Today's the 15th. Let's say we're going to do a 31-day settlement. We'll do 300,000. And this is, so some people use this buyer cost sheet. Some people use Brights. You can use whichever one you're comfortable with. I've always just used the one in here. And I don't know if some of you know, this isn't contracts training, so we're not necessarily going to go through every little line item on here. But if you didn't know, Guardian Transfer actually has calculators on their website. So I pre-filled this just to save a little bit of time here on this training, but you come in and you select the state, the county, the township, what it is, loan purchase, type of property, the offer price, and then the loan amount, and then you hit calculate, and it's going to pull all of these things for you. So this is a way that you could fill out that form. You could also ask your buyer's lender to send them a cost sheet. So that's going to be the most accurate, right? Because if that's the lender they're using, they're going to have their own fees and such. So this is mostly just the title fees here. They're not going to have your loan fees. But if you're looking for a title insurance cost, you can come in here and you can find that here, and then some other fees and such. So I'll just go back and fill in some information just so that we can get some numbers on this form. So that was roughly 1850. We'll go 250 there, 250 there. Again, try to be as accurate as possible for your clients so that they're not surprised when you, when they get their actual loan estimate, right? So in taxes, again, you're going to find that in the MLS. You're going to break it down. So I have it up on my other screen. We're going to say these people are getting an inspection. How lucky are they, right? All right, moving on. So, you can just total them. And if you're like, oh, that doesn't, oh, we didn't do the lender fees here. Sometimes I'll throw in an extra $1,000 if I'm unsure, if I don't have an estimate or something like that from the lender, and I'm not terribly sure what is what it's looking like. So fixed rate, they're going to do 20% down, $300,000. We'll give them a 6%. 0.25 again. So I'm not going to go through and figure out exactly what all of this is just for the sake of time. But there are some other calculators online that I can share with all of you if you'd like them. Just go ahead and reach out. Yeah, Robert, you have your hand up. You can take yourself off of mute. What's up? Are you speaking? I can't hear you. Whoa. All right. Well, if you're trying to talk, I can't hear you. Throw your question in the chat, and I'll try to get to it when I see it pop up. But I'm not able to hear you. Okay. So here is cost estimate, right? Again, people's information is here. Now we get to the agreement of sale. So this is where, again, so this information was pulled in because we did that MLS Connect. One thing that never pulls in for whatever reason is the municipality, right? So that's something that you'll have to check in the MLS. So this is Southampton Township. There we go. All right, so it pulls all this stuff in. Doesn't hurt to double check, right? You don't want a wrong tax ID on your agreement. So pulled my information in, pulled the other agent's information in. So they're going to be a seller agent. All of that looks good there. Then you're going to go through, today's the 15th. That 300 pulled over because we put that in the cost estimate. It'll do the same. So if you have the agreement of sale before the cost estimate, it'll then pull it over to the cost estimate. So these forms are interchangeable with the information that you put in. We're going to go ahead, $10,000 deposit. June 16th is what we already put on that other form, like I said. So that pulls over into here. Time is of the essence. We want an answer by tomorrow. It pulled in residential, and it also pulled in all the stuff from the what they're excluding and what they're including in the agreement. So this is something to pay attention to. I know this isn't contracts training, but this is something to pay attention to when you're dealing with appliances, right? So the agents don't always put them in, what's included and what's not included. And if you're assuming something, you know, that could be an issue down the line. So just make sure you're including and excluding what's necessary there. We're going to keep scrolling. So we're electing a mortgage, that mortgage contingency. We're going to go ahead and do 2 weeks prior to settlement. Go ahead, add this information, conventional. So this is very important. Your loan to value, right? So they're doing 20% down. So that's an 80% loan to value. Do not leave this blank. That can put your buyer at a disadvantage if there's an appraisal issue. So this could actually be a lifesaver if there's an appraisal issue, and it will no longer be within that loan to value. That could essentially give them a little bit of leeway to negotiate and or potentially get out of the agreement because it no longer falls within that loan to value. We're going to use GRA for this, 6%. We'll go 6.5. Just a caveat, this should be at least 0.25%. A half is probably best with the way interest rates fluctuate. But if you're on the list side and you get an agreement and it's 6 and then 6.125, but you have a 2-day out, you know, acceptance date and rates go up, if this number isn't within their threshold, that could be an issue. Again, not contracts training, just throwing out a couple caveats while I'm going through. So we got public water, public sewer. If you have others, make sure you're checking that. If you're in any land use areas, make sure you're putting that in there. This one is pretty simple. Inspections, again, this isn't where we sign or anything, so all of this is going to look blank. You can change your time frames for inspections, right? We threw that on the cost estimate, so we'll just go ahead and put 14 in there. Scrolling through. If it's in a condo or HOA, you got to click those buttons there. Always, always, always select this. Seller's limited to retaining those sums paid by buyer, including deposit monies, as liquidation damages, meaning if your buyer decides to walk away the day of settlement, that seller cannot come back and sue them for any additional funds. Always click this button. Make sure that X is there. All right, if you have any additional terms, you know, now that we have been seeing inspections, I will just throw out this little caveat. If you're competing and you're getting an inspection, I would suggest potentially talking to your buyer about what that looks like for them. So I've had some people reach out recently saying, hey, you know, my seller or my buyer's not going to ask for anything small. Like, what can I write on the contract that is going to assure, you know, the sellers that we're not going to come in and pick apart the house for the inspection. There are some different wordings that you can use. One that I'm seeing is that, you know, buyer will not cancel or negotiate on any individual repair items under $500. Again, understand that $500 is going to be situational, right? You could go get an estimate from one person and it be $400 and somebody else and it be $2,000. Understand that. However, that at least to a degree is a little bit of peace of mind to a seller that you're not going to come in and pick it apart. And using the terminology that you're not going to cancel or negotiate on those items. I'm not an attorney. None of us are attorneys. So just be aware of that as well. But that could be additional assurance if you're competing and you are asking for inspections to write something to that tone. So again, this information is here. One thing I should have done, I didn't realize that this was, they had both people here, so I should have separated that. That's just how the listing agent put it in there. So that would be a note to go back and do that. The co-op form is here, so make sure you're selecting you're a buyer agent, whatever that listing agent is offering out. That's 3%. Info is here. Sometimes it doesn't pull that listing agent in, so just go ahead and go back to Bright and find who that is, make that go in there. This is our affiliate business disclosure. This is a required form by the company, so you have to have that. You'll just have to pull the data in. The other information should come in there just fine. Their info will be down here. And then that last one is going to be that wire fraud, which we'll put signatures on at the next step. Before I move on to the signing portion, does anybody have a question, a comment, something that they'd like me to go back and show you before we get into the signing part? No? Cool. All right. So once you fill all of this information out, you come up here to the top right where it says prepare signing. Click on that button. Now we have three options. What's going on? So I choose this middle one, send to new AuthentiSign. Whenever it's new, that usually means it's the one they're going to stick with. So we go ahead, send to new AuthentiSign. So creating a signing, this is basically what it's going to show up as in an email to your client to sign. So obviously they're not going to understand what consumer notice. I mean, they should understand what a consumer notice is, but they're not going to know what this signing platform is for. So what I usually do is just take the address and write offer after it, and then return to folder. So this just means where it's going to be housed within your transaction. You can archive it. You can put it in the main folder. This is optional. I don't typically do anything special with it. Go ahead and hit create. And again, it's going to spin. Then it won't look like it's doing anything, and then it'll transition to the signing area. All right, so this is the what you're going to see. Hit set signing order, then you're going to come here and hit add participants. So the reason why you add the people prior is so that one, they show up on the documents, but also once you get here, it's just time to go ahead and select who is signing, right? So buyer one, buyer two, myself as the listing agent, because I have to sign that cost estimate, and that co-op broker, going to go ahead and hit select there. If you did need to add additional people, if you forgot to add somebody, or you needed to change something, you can also do that. If you hit add participants, you can add from transaction or contacts or new, you can add yourself, all of that. So this is going to put people in a signing order. I typically like to sign last, right? They've signed, they've seen it, then it comes to me, I sign last. All right, so from here, you're just scrolling again, right? So we're making sure that everything is where it belongs. So buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer's agent there, coming down here. Buyers are on the form. I'm on the form. All right, now we get to the property disclosure. Since this is an uploaded PDF, the system does not know where to place the signatures and the initials, so you have to do that yourself. So you're going to come over here on the right-hand side and hit Tools, and then it's automatically going to show you one of the buyers, right? Or yourself if you were the first one listed. So you drag and drop the initials here, and then to change who you're putting on here, you just select the next person, initials, and everybody's color coded. That way, you know that it's not, you're not putting the same person. And this can be a little tedious because you have to place it on each page. So what you can do if you want, if you hit on your keyboard, this is on a PC, not on a Mac. I don't have a Mac computer, so I don't know what that looks like, but Control C, once you have this highlighted, then you can come down and hit Control V, and it automatically pastes the initials. So this just saves a little bit of time instead of dragging and dropping every single one from that side over there. But you can do that if you want. We're just going to go through. Control C to copy, Control V to place, and then obviously the signatures, you're going to have to place those. So sign here. All right, and then we got to go back up. So I got to do the other one. All right, so Control C again. And you just click. So make sure you are clicking the area that you want to place it. See, that kind of sometimes it throws it off into a weird spot, but click where you want it to go. If you're a little OCD, you can then drag and drop, put it where it belongs. Just gonna go through and finish this here. No. And good, we got the signatures down there. All right, so then on to the next form. So here we are in that cost estimate. Everything is where it belongs. Then we get to the agreement of sale. It'll place your buyer's initials and signatures where they need to go. I will show you things you absolutely need to look out for, though. Once we get to these inspections, you'll see it's on both sides, and you'll notice a difference. You see here how it's in red and it has an asterisk? Neither one of these have that, which means none of these initials are required. So you need to talk to your buyer ahead of time and know what inspections they're electing and what inspections they're waiving, because you need to have this set up for them properly, right? Ideally, you know, you explain this to them and they would come in and select and decline, like waive which ones, you know, that they were going to elect or waive. However, that 95% of the time will not work. So what you need to do is you need to delete what they're not doing. So they're not waiving that. However, you want to make sure they're absolutely going to initial this. So you have to make it required. That means they can't finish signing until they have initialed everything that is required of them, right? So we're going to do the same thing here. Select required. We're not going to get that. It's public. Well, we are going to do the radon. So, and you still have to do required even when it's on the waived side, because you can't have anything left blank, right? So we're going to delete that because we've elected over there. It's not a septic. We don't need that. Property insurance, we're not going to elect that one. We're not doing a survey. This was built after 78, so we don't need that. And you're just going to come over and do the same exact thing. Make sure you're hitting required. I know this may seem a little tedious, but just make sure you're doing it, because you don't ever want to be on a deadline and get something back and then it's missing information, right? So especially in this time where we're competing, the cleaner your offer, the more well put together, the more accurate your offer is, the better chance you're going to have, right? If you're missing information or missing initials here or there, that doesn't look good, right? So just make sure that you have everything as clean as possible, and everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed. All right, so we're going to scroll down through. Again, these initials are where they belong. We're good there. And then you have a couple of other ones, right? So deposit money notice and the lead paint. So again, this was built before 78, so you can delete those. If you're doing a deposit money notice, that separate form, you can do the same thing you did for those inspections. Just come up here and hit required for that. And then the co-op is here, your initial or your signature's there. The affiliate business disclosure, we're scrolling, we got that. And then the wire fraud, you do actually have to place the signatures on. For some reason, that doesn't like to pull in. All right. So sign there. So everything is placed where it needs to go. And the next thing that you do is come up here at the top right, you're going to hit next. This is basically saying, hey, when does this expire? If you're writing an offer, it's always 30 days out is what they typically do. But I mean, you're obviously not going to leave something out in limbo for 30 days. So you can update this, and you can actually set reminders every one day at 9 a.m. So if they don't sign it today, they're going to get a reminder at 9 a.m. tomorrow. You can also customize invites. So it'll give you each signer, and you can customize whatever you want it to say to them. So if there's something specific that you'd like to relay in here, you can type that up, or you can just have a generic email go out that basically says, hey, Danielle Moore is sending you an invite to sign, and then it'll go from there. So you're going to go ahead and hit send there, and then it basically looks like it's closing out. But then your buyers will get the email to sign the forms. So I won't necessarily go through all of that, having you watch me go to each of my emails to do that. But once they sign and once you sign, we're going to go back to transactions. I'll just pull up one of my current active transactions that it'll show you exactly what it does once everything is signed correctly. So it's gonna come into documents. So every time you send out a signing packet, it's going to create one of these files within your transaction, right? So this was the offer that initially went out. So it has all of the documents. And as you can see, now the PDF has that Authenticign over it, because it's going to show you that everybody has signed and initialed, right? So you can click on it. Oh, that's just where are we at? There we go. Everything will be signed and initialed, and you can download it from here to send in an email, right? So everybody has signed here. It's going to show you that. So if you want to download all the documents to your computer, that way you can send them, you can hit select all. You can do that, and then hit save as PDF or download, and you can download them to your computer to send it off to that listing agent. Please, so when you get something back that's signed, you'll get a link that says click here to view documents. Please, please, please do not just forward that as your offer. Send attachments so that it's again easier for that listing agent to kind of know what they're looking at there. All right, so again, this is what it looks like once it comes back. You'll always have them in here, and you can download them to send off in an email. And this is actually a pretty accurate depiction of time. So from start to finish, it's been about 35 minutes. And obviously I've been explaining things as I've been going, but based on the information that I didn't necessarily input, you should be able to, once you're familiar and comfortable with this platform, be able to get an offer out, I would say within 30 minutes, because it's all set for you and ready to go. It's just a matter of filling the information in the agreements. So that's it from that start to finish. Does anybody have any questions, anything that they've been having issues with within the system that I can try to kind of help work you through? If you want to see something again, or how I did something or got somewhere, pull yourself off of mute and or drop something in the chat. Nothing? Easy enough. All right, cool, guys. Thank you for jumping on a Monday. I know it's gorgeous outside, so I appreciate you jumping on. I did record this and I'll send it out. So if you need to go back for reference, if you're writing an offer, go ahead and do that. And also, as always, feel free to reach out to me or Trisha if you need anything. All right, thanks, guys.